Hi everyone, welcome to Thursday. So this week I've just had a question about algebra and I really wanted to make a video and go through not only the solution and how I would approach it, but also once again, and I will get on and on and on about this, how the curriculum will help you work out where to help your child and how to help them. So the first thing I want to take you through is actually the Australian curriculum in terms of algebra and solving equations. Now, algebra doesn't start until year 7, level 7, state by state. So we have two aspects of it. First thing is around solving equations. Our first code to be aware of is 179, and that's a year 7 code. So we're looking at our concrete materials, actually using, and in our problem solving workshop that we're doing a problem solving masterclass. I'll run that in May and June. And in that we do linear algebra and we build paths and patterns and things like that. And you actually start seeing how a pattern becomes an equation, which becomes a graph that we can do things with. The other idea here is the balance model. And that is that we're on a set of scales. If there's an equal sign in the middle, what happens on one side has to happen on the other side. And that we just have that law that's how it is. If we put an equal sign in there, we have to keep them balanced. We can't lose things, we can't find things, we can't add new things. And that is the way it is. It is just one of our rules of mathematics. So questions of that, what I would expect to see at a year 7 level, we're talking about, one variable, well, the multiple maybe, or added to something, maybe a plus 3 equals 8. So we're starting to just get this idea that we're going to do things on each side. We're just starting to balance. By the time we're getting into year 8, we're looking at codes 192 and 194 for our solving equations. And this is when we're really starting to get into our algebraic techniques and using our number laws. So I actually think the question that was raised falls into this level far better than it does in our year 7 level in terms of solving equations. So we expect maybe a multi-step problem. We'd have to get the 2 out, then we have to get the 7 out, and then we have to get the other 2 out. It's not just simple, straightforward, hey, this thing equals this thing. We have to do a multiple of steps. Our other codes to take care of and be aware of are our algebra codes. So 176 and 175, are at a year 7 level. So we're talking about just evaluating something by substitution, or we're introducing variables as a concept. We're just starting to play with letters. That's it. By year 8 though, we're starting to simplify using our 4 operations. And as I unpack this problem, that's actually where I would start. I would have this student working there first, getting our simplifying first, getting our algebra, and then worrying about substitution later. So this was a question that was asked. If A equals BC minus D, find D given A having all these values. Now, there's a multiplication here, there's a negative, there's a subtraction here, and we have a negative value to substitute in. So even if this was at a year 7 level, it's way down the end of year 7. It's probably something you would set as a challenge question, and just to test understanding, because that can be overwhelming seeing that. And the last thing we want to do is ruin confidence. There's nothing in levels 5 to 8, that middle years mathematics, that should ever burst our confidence in students. And it's our job to protect it. So I'd actually just do this. That's how I'd start this question. And the reason is that unless you can rearrange to make whatever letter you want, and you can do it quickly and easily, the next step is irrelevant. So what I would like to see, if I saw this and I'd given this to a student who is doing well, not someone who thinks that algebra is hard and overwhelming, I would expect them to move that. If I had given this problem to someone that I thought was doing quite well, the first thing that I would like them to do, and I would expect, is they would go, I've got to get D and I've got to put it on the other side. So I've got A equals BC minus D. Well, I've got a negative D there, so I add D, so that I can create that to equal 0, and then it's gone. So what I've added on one side, I have to keep this idea of balance, okay? Because I've got this equal sign. I cannot get away from the fact that I have to equal it. So now I'm going to have a plus D on this side too. Oh, hang on. I've got an A there. I don't want an A. Well, now I have to take my A away, and that will result in that being 0. And this, that's in 0 too. So our next step here will be A minus A plus D equals BC minus A. That's gone. So therefore now I have DC minus A. At that point, I will talk about substituting back in. Because, and then, even then, you're going to have minus and minus. So you're going to have this unknown D, which is fine. You're going to have your 3 for your B. You're multiplying it by 5. Then we're minusing negative 16. So even this has a trick in it. You're even fooling kids here. So we end up with our 15 plus 16 and a D equals to 31. You can absolutely go back straight from the beginning and say that's minus 16 equals 3 times 5 minus D. That's fine as well. But you want to get kids comfortable. For me, I would actually go, okay, what's B? How do you get B? How do you get C? How do you get D? How do you break these two apart? What does that equation look like before you even get near substituting? So it's about setting them up to be comfortable doing stuff with letters before then we go and put more numbers back in. It's just give them time. And even if you just spent a month doing nothing else but 5 questions every day, where you just move things around. Hey, how do we make this? How do we make that? How do we do this? How do we do that? Oh, here's this bunch of stuff. Which variable should I use? Real world types of problems so that you build that confidence up. And with that confidence, they're going to be more willing to give these things a go and go, oh, actually, there's multiple steps to that. And there are multiple ways that I can do that dependent on my level of comfort. If you could have year 7, even as at a year 8 level, so that level 7, level 8, what do we have? A equals BC minus D. That in one step could go, well, D, that's plus D there, so I've got A plus, and I have to take that back over. So D, really, they just swap places, equals BC minus A. And it would get to that level of speed and efficiency. It's not a big deal. Or if you want to find, say, B, you're going to move that over and then divide by C. So you're going to get A plus D over C equals B. That's what I'd really love to be able to see a student comprehend and be able to do by probably the end of year 8. Then you deal with the substitution after that. So break it down, make it easy, give them so much success and confidence with it, because otherwise you end up where I am right now with Mr. 14 and his year 9 algebra that he's trying to get ready for NAPLAN, and he can't do it. He doesn't know what a variable is. Came up as a missing gap in my tests that I ran with him. So then you're going, oh, well, now you need to factorise out the quadratic. And he's like, what are you talking about? Because he doesn't have any confidence and he's slow. So he can process it, but he's very slow because it takes so much for him to try and work through the steps because he's not fluent in anything. He's not confident. That all speed, fluency, confidence, that's what we should be building so that when things do get more complicated and the year 9 standard, year 10 standard, they're ready. They're going to tackle it. They're going to be amazing. So take your time in year 7. Take your time in year 8. Don't let them lose their confidence that now there's some letter just turned up. All right, thanks for watching. Any questions, let me know.